roles in the community and the different organisations. So thank you very much. And I know that organising these events does take a lot of hard work, so it is really pleasing that we've got a number of organisations here today, and obviously the 5 districts of West Yorkshire as well are working more closely together to try and make things happen in a more coordinated way across the whole of the county. And obviously that's part of my role, making sure that each of our districts are absolutely doing what they can, working together to tackle safeguarding in its broadest sense. When we actually carried out the consultation into that police and crime plan that I mentioned earlier, people who responded to that said that 70% of the people who responded said that safeguarding was important to them. So that was actually a big jump from the first plan which I produced back in 2013 now, and the next plan was produced in back end of 2016, early 2017. So that was a big jump from the original consultation that we undertook. So that's pleasing that there's clearly more awareness out there, but obviously events like today are about reinforcing those messages. So as I've said, safeguarding is a key outcome in the police and crime plan, and I'm delighted that to support partners in raising awareness, working with communities, whether that's a public consultation or developing online resources or training of professionals and supporting those who sometimes feel vulnerable. And you know, it's important that we have a range of approaches to, yes, face-to-face events like this and talking to you, but obviously a lot of people do go online and prefer to communicate in different ways, so it's important that we have a range of different ways and opportunities to do that. Some of you may have seen Stuart Piper. Stuart's at the back. I appointed Stuart 3 years ago now as my safeguarding advisor to help me deliver some of the priorities within the police and crime plan, to hopefully take forward a more consistent and cohesive approach to safeguarding, not only in Bradford but across West Yorkshire. This week a new website that I've helped to fund has been developed by Calderdale Council with schools and partners, and that's gone live. It's called the Healthy Relationships Resources website. It's an online resource library that all schools can access about healthy relationships, giving children the skills and knowledge to help them protect themselves and again live happy and safe lives in the right way, to safeguard not only themselves but their friends and families in the future. This month also has been very busy so far. I was pleased to welcome Baroness Helen Newlove to West Yorkshire. Recently she's the National Victims Commissioner, and she helped launch the new Victim Services service that I've commissioned for the next 3 years. It's a contract that's worth £3.6 million, and it has been awarded to the charity Victim Support, who hopefully many of you are already aware of. And as I've said, that's for the next 3 years, and it's an enhanced service because it's now available to children for the first time, and in fact people who might not feel confident of reporting to the police in the first instance can access that service as well, even if you haven't reported it as a crime. So that's a really important step forward, and I want to raise awareness about that service and around how people can access that throughout West Yorkshire. I've also created the Safer Communities Fund, which hopefully some of you will have heard of, and obviously, is it?
Sean from Bradford People First.
Sean, yeah, and hopefully you've been recipients of over the past few years. So this is funding that's brought together through the proceeds of crime. So the police working with the courts and prosecutors, worked very hard to obviously arrest and tackle criminality and seize assets and monies that have been ill-gotten, shall we say. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to put more than £2.2 million worth of that funding now back into more than 500 projects in West Yorkshire over the past 3 to 4 years. And the latest grant round only closed last week, and again we're well oversubscribed. We've had more than 100 applications for the latest grant round, and that's a themed one. It's looking at how groups and communities tackle serious and violent crime, and obviously we've heard too much about knife crime and some of those types of incidents in the news recently, and we need to be doing what we can to prevent those types of crimes from happening in the first place. So hopefully, I'm sure there will be some projects in Bradford that have applied for that, and we'll, I look forward to seeing what the outcome of those applications are. I also want to particularly mention Bradford People First, who are safeguarding, the active safeguarding champions. They are part of the Bradford Safeguarding Adults Board Safeguarding Voice Group. They are one of the groups who were successful in obtaining the Safer Communities grant, and obviously I look forward to a visit on a future occasion when I can spend more time getting to know more about what you do and the details, and we might hear, I'm sure, a bit more about that this morning as well. Obviously, I'm sure you've taken an active role in planning today's event, and you'll be delivering some key messages, so thanks very much for being involved today. And before I hand over to Bev Maybury from the Bradford Council, I'd like to say that I know and hope you will have an engaging day this morning and into the afternoon. Please make the most of this opportunity to work together and get to know each other a little bit more. And obviously it's all about keeping people safe in our communities and feeling safe as well in Bradford and throughout West Yorkshire. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and as I've said, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was excellent. It just shows the importance that Bradford is placing on safeguarding. And now I'd like to welcome Bev, let her introduce herself and tell her about, ask her about safeguarding.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning. I've been asked, well, first of all, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Bev Maybury. I'm Strategic Director for Health and Wellbeing at Bradford Council. In the old days, that would have been the Director of Social Care, so you know sort of what I do. And I'm responsible for a lot of the social work and social care that goes on in Bradford. And I think what I've been asked to do this morning is just to reflect on what we do and how the work of our department and the rest of the council fits into this really important agenda. So I just wanted to start by thinking about, what does safeguarding mean to me? And I think about the usual things. I think about people not being physically abused, not being emotionally abused, not having issues with finances and being abused in that way. But I also think about our vision for social care, which is about happy, healthy and at home. That also means not being neglected. The Care Act tells us we've got to think about people's well-being, and I don't think we do that particularly well. I think we've got a long way to go yet to get some of those things right. But I also think it's about safeguarding people's rights. The Mental Capacity Act, sorry, I knew this would happen. So the Mental Capacity Act tells us that people have the right to make poor choices. And I was going to start off by telling you some of the poor choices that I've made, but I might get in trouble. But I will share with you one in particular. 3 years years ago I got remarried, obviously for the second time, and I hope I got it right this time. But if I tell you the first time was an absolute disaster. I don't know what I was thinking about, but I was very young and naive. And I think that was probably one of the most poor choices I've ever made. Maybe unwise, maybe all the words that people use, I think could apply to me. And so I think that I absolutely have the right to make that choice. I learn by getting it wrong. I learned a lot about myself and about other people. And I think as well as safeguarding the traditional way, we also have a responsibility to safeguard people's right to an ordinary everyday life like everybody else. And I don't think the fact that somebody's got a disability, a long-term condition, an illness, or because they're older, that they shouldn't be allowed to make choices that are appropriate for them. I would like to grow old disgracefully. I think I'm looking forward to the time when I can retire and have a really good time. Because I've been too busy at work and bringing up two strapping great boys, and you don't get a lot of time for the fun. But I think everybody should have fun. They should be allowed to make the choices and decisions that are right for them. So what I think safeguarding is getting that balance right, that we protect and support people, but we don't do things that get in the way of people absolutely having the lives that they want to live. And I really believe that people's choices and rights and control over what happens to them is really, really important. I dread anybody who has to look after me when I'm older. Oh, are they going to have a hard time? Because I just think I'll be quite difficult. I could be wrong, but I anticipate having sherry parties and tea dances and doing all sorts of things that I want to do. And I've never been very good at following rules. So, I'll tell you.
Me neither. No, it's all right.
Don't listen, Jeff. So it's absolutely, for me, about the whole Care Act agenda of well-being. Not just about physical care, but about the things that actually make you happy. And I was really struck by a speech that was given by Lord Justice Monday, who talked about safeguarding against heartbreak. And that's quite a strange thing to say, but what he was talking about was sometimes we support people to go into situations that they don't really want to go to. So I'm thinking about somebody who's older, who may be having issues, who may be falling at home, and what he was saying was, sometimes you can get into a place where we say, it would be better for you to go into a care home. Actually, what we know is that you are 7 times more likely to fall in a care home because you don't know your way around. If you know your own home, there might be hazards there, but people, by and large, if you live there for a long time, work out where things are, and they are safer there. So sometimes I think we don't get that bit quite right. And if the price of that move is a broken heart, you leave your home, you leave your family, and lose everything that's familiar, maybe we just need to examine that balance sometimes and make sure that we do the right things and support people properly, so that we've not paid lip service to it, we've really thought about it, and we really talk to people about what matters to them. We'll all be different. Some of you will even like the football, but never mind. I won't hold it against anybody, and if that's what you've got to do this week or whenever, that's absolutely fine. But I think it is about recognising that thing that is unique to us, that we are all different, and that we need to work in a system that sometimes treats people as groups, not as individuals. So my challenge, and that of my colleagues in the department, is to really try and change the way we think and the way we work, in order that things like personalised services, personalisation is real, and making safeguarding personal is part of that process. So I'm not going to talk anymore because I probably will tell you too many of my life secrets, and that's not a good thing. But I just wanted to finish, obviously Mark, you thanks people, but I just want to add my thanks, particularly to the safeguarding team and all our staff, and I'm not going to name people, but just to say a big thank you to the Safeguarding Voice Group, Bradford First, People First. It is about partnerships. We will say that over and over again, but it is about us all working together with real people and thinking about real lives. So I hope you have an absolutely fabulous day, and I look forward to hearing what comes out of it. Thank you. And it is now my great pleasure to hand over to Jane Geraghty, who is just newly appointed as our independent chair of the Adult Safeguarding Board. And I know that a number of you in the audience were here as part of that interview process, which I think you may share was quite a grueling one.
Yes.
So it's my delight to hand over to Jane. Thank you.
Right. So as Bev said, so I'm suffering a bit from hay fever, but my name's Jane Geraghty, and yes, I've just started in Bradford. In fact, it's my third visit to Bradford since I got this job. And I'm absolutely thrilled that my first kind of big event is here with you. Because I said when I was interviewed, and it's absolutely true, that my highest priority, and sadly in some ways it has been for decades, is to hear the voices of experts and listen and respond to and take notice and change things because of what you tell us. So I'm so thrilled to be here today to sort of be my first big outing in Bradford. Now, you will remember Jonathan, I think, who was the chair before me, and he's actually can't be here today, but he does send his very best wishes, and I hope to have a very seamless sort of change of authority from Jonathan to I, but the same commitment that he showed to meeting with you and working with you, I will guarantee I will pick up on, and if you're not happy with my approach or whatever, then you just simply have to tell me and I'll take it on the chin and I'll change and do things differently. So my role is to make sure that the partners in Bradford, and the key ones are the police, the local authorities and health and the voluntary sector, deliver absolutely excellent safeguarding services in their own organisations, but also that they work together to do the same. So there's no scope for people sort of shirking their shoulders and saying it's somebody else's responsibility. It's absolutely everybody's responsibility in all the organisations in Bradford. Now, I've previously chaired boards in Durham and Leicester, and I suppose Leicester City has some similarities in terms of the demographics of Bradford. So I have some things to share, but Bradford is unique and I'm really looking forward to hearing about all the issues. Now, two things that the board has to do because of the Care Act is to produce a plan every year which identifies what our priorities are, and then at the end of that year I have to produce a report that says, this is what we said we'd do, this is what we've done, this is the impact of what we've done, and this is what we need to do next. And I have to be grilled by you and by lots of other people, the Health and Wellbeing Board and the scrutiny committees, about, well, did you do what you said you were going to do, and did you make Bradford safer? So it's a big ask, but we're going to work on it together. So, as I've said, it's absolutely important. You are the experts. You are people who either are users of services or carers, and you have so much to tell us about what we're doing well and also what we're not doing so well. So I'm really committed to listening to you and then doing something about what you tell me. And this is a unique opportunity today for you to feed in your ideas about next year's plan, or no, this year's plan. And also want you to spread the word in all the organisations, in all the geographical areas and the groups you're linked to about the nature of abuse, because it's so widespread. It keeps what we recognise as abuse keeps changing, and we need you to help to tell people what abuse is so that people don't live with abuse thinking it isn't abuse or it's acceptable. So you are the experts, and we're going to be coming to you increasingly to ask you to help us. So we do need your help specifically today in helping us identify what we're going to prioritise next year. and you've got something in writing about some of our ideas. They're not bound to be right, and certainly throughout the day we're looking to hear from you what perhaps we ought to prioritise that we may not even have thought about yet. So I know last year there was a conference and over 200 people attended, and you told us that you wanted us to do more about mate crime. Can you not hear? Sorry, mate crime. And you're going to hear more about that today. There's going to be a film and you're going to hear a lot more about it, but we particularly picked up that issue because you told us last year that we needed to do more. And then we're going to tell you more during the course of the day about what our priorities should be. And also there's an opportunity for an online consultation. I'm sure Nima will give more details about later. And there's a box if you're still on paper and pen and you want to stick things in the suggestion box, well, please do that. So gather all your ideas together. Oh, sorry. Right, so what I'd like to do is to receive invitations from all of you to come out to your place. I don't need much more than a cup of coffee, and I'll come and I want to come out and talk to you and hear from you about what's really worrying you and what we need to do something about. So please send in the invitations and maybe I can take some away some today. And again, I want to endorse what the two previous speakers said, Mark and Bev. That would be my approach. I mean, I really like what Bev said to you about her approach, and it's something I absolutely agree with. Life is about having fun. There's too many serious things. We have to be serious, but we want every individual to have a unique, fulfilling and creative life, and we want to support you in doing that. So thank you so much. Can't wait to start talking to people and waiting for the invites, and really looking forward to the rest of the day. So thank you.
Okay, who wants to play? Okay. Leslie, if you want to come over. Bernie, I could have your help as well if that's okay. Okay, I know Jane kind of let it slip a bit as well, and Bev, who we want to kind of like tell you who sits on the Safeguarding Adults Board, who belongs to the board, okay? So we're going to play a bit of a game, and I want people to help me because everybody couldn't be here today, so some of you might have to pretend to be part of an organisation if that's okay. So now, first of all, we've already met Jane. Jane, would you like to come here? Mark, is it alright if you just kind of like move out the way a bit? I know you're quite important. And you, Jack. You're probably wondering why we've got an umbrella, because this is what we're trying to say, it's an umbrella organisation. Jane, can you don't need to sit, you could just stand. Yeah, you have to stand and look pretty. Can you hold on to that? Yeah. So she's going to be leading the Safeguarding Adults Board, okay? Very important person. Bradford Council. Okay, Bev had to go. I know she's gone. But can I have a lane, please? Yep, come to the front. Is there any police in the house? We need some protection. Come on. Doesn't she look fantastic? Yeah. I have to take a selfie with her in a bit. Okay, who's here from a health organisation today?
Karen?
Karen, where are you? Karen, come on, we need you. Anybody else from a health organisation? Oh, we've got Helen, yay. Okay, can we have Rob Mitchell at the front, please? Because I think he has a very important role to play. And I have my own personal favourite, Ian Burgess. Come on, Bradford Council. Okay, anybody here from West Yorkshire Ambulance? Who's going to pretend for me? Yay! Anybody from an advocacy service? Come on. Come on. someone from housing. Hanover Housing in Communities. Anybody from housing here today? That's it, they're in trouble. We need someone from housing who's going to pretend. Come on, somebody. Yay. Probation. Anyone for probation? Andrea, come on. You're not getting out of it. Voluntary sector organisation. We've got quite a few. Come on, Stuart. Equality together. All right. Firemen. What do? They save our lives. Come on. Police crime commissioner. And he thought he was going to get out of it.
I'm in the house, yes.
Health Watch. Anyone from Health Watch? Okay, come on, Daryl. You're going to have to pretend for me. Don't sit there looking away. Say, we work with the Safeguarding Children's Board. We have really strong links. So who would that be? Mark, come on. Don't be shy. Is anybody here today from the Safety Community Partnership? No. Safety Community Partnership. Come on. Donna. You could hold it for me. Come on. Hold it up. Key Equality Commission. You can do it. Thank you. I'm loving this. When we say the independent sector, do you know what we mean? No, we mean people who are independent. So it could be a private care home. So who wants to pretend to be an owner of a private care home? Leslie, go on.
What, me?
Yeah, you could hold it. All right. We work really closely with our counsellors, but unfortunately our counsellor couldn't be here today. So Bernadette Gallagher, you could take the honour for that one. We've got 10 minutes to do this in, by the way, just in case you're wondering why. All right, this one's really, really important, and it's probably the most important to us here in Bradford, voice of the people. So, Jill, are you coming? Peter, are you coming? So this is ultimately the most important to us, okay? So Jill has a very strong role on the board, and Peter is our safeguarding voice chair, so he could stand with Jill. Oh, we have? Fire services. Where's my fire service? Where's my fireman? There he is. Okay. Now can you see how many people have a say in the Safeguarding Adults Board? Does anybody have a question? Any questions? Okay, so everybody should be input into the Safeguarding Adults Board. Okay? Thank you, everybody. You're not good now.
Role play next.
It's just done.
Good.
Thank you ever so much for that. I'm just going to all give you a little warning here. When Nina Panu's around and you have an idea, don't voice it, because it took me forever to get this damn thing in my car. Because my car makes it really look big. So, thank you for that participation. Now, I really would like to welcome Jack. I know that he's as nervous as I am about today, but I'm sure he'll do a much better job. So Jack's going to take us all through a game that we can all participate in and enjoy. And so
okay, just before Jack starts, I've got to explain what's going to happen. We want you to have two teams. The way the room is laid out, it's a bit awkward. So someone suggested we have the back
Can I play?
Oh, you're right.
Now have to settle down, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I'm just going to hope you found your volunteer, and we're going to play a game, and but before we start, we wanted to be able to display these, but these, just to make it a little bit fair on people, we're going to talk about different types of abuse and what you'll do about it. So the game is called, oh, it's gone off the screen. Yeah. Okay, the game's called What Will You Do? Okay, so some of this is not a right answer or a wrong answer. There is some wrong answers, which we'll do first of all. Can I bring these in? So we've got different ones. So these are just to give you an idea of the sort of things that you might do. One is tell your support worker or care worker. Tell your family or friends. Call the police. Yeah. Call Bradford Adult Protection. Tell your doctor. Use your personal alarm. Tell your support worker, we've had that before. I think we'll get some of these again. Call your social worker. Go to a hate crime reporting centre. And tell a care manager. Now there might be other things that you think you should do. This is the first time Jack's done this thing, I wouldn't normally be working alongside him if he'd have to work with us. But we're sort of making it up as we go along. So I'm going to give you over to Jack in a minute. I'm just going to be his assistant. What we've got two people who will judge your answers for your team, and the teams will get a thumbs up sign, and the winning team is the one that gets the most thumbs ups. Yeah. These are two judges, Donna and David, and we've got sets of types of abuse. They're based on we with Safeguarding Voice, each year we do a thing called Safeguarding Bingo. These pictures are from the Safeguarding Bingo game. So if people are wanting to get involved and do the Safeguarding Bingo, there's some publicity about that, Nina. It's in the booking for Safeguarding Bingo.
Information about that.
Yeah.
Yes, we could give you that.
Right, over to Jack.
Hello everyone, my name is Jack, I'm from Bradford People First. I am your host, especially for today, for you all. This game called What to Do. I am going to ask John to come back up again. Give John a clap. So Sean, we want you to pick up the card and show everybody it.
People see that. There's some smaller ones there for people. Okay, so this is a picture of someone looking with a piece of paper or a book or something, and it looks, they're looking really puzzled by it. And what it says here, it's jargon. So it's the sort of thing that you might get from you might get it from your doctor, you might get it from Benedict's office, but it's written in a way that's hard to understand. So I've got to decide on what I should do about it. Now, to make it easier, we've got a set of cards, first of all, to pick up.
Sean, please pick up the second card.
Right, so this is what I could do about it. Go to the pub.
What will you do?
Okay, so I don't think that's a good thing. So if I was one of the teams, I would say, give us and say what you think I should do about that.
English reading, Sean.
What?
English reading.
Easy reading. Yeah, all right. So that's the pretty easy reading. So that man down there, Robert, his team would get one of these. Yeah. One of them. Okay.
Social worker.
Right? Yeah, you get one of these. This is just the example that you'll be doing at the moment. Okay. Right then. I'll get all the way.
Thank you, Sean. So kind.
These few judges.
On my left team, what is your team called?
The ones at the team at the back.
18.
Where's your team?
18. Oh, nice. It's 18 and what? What's a Mazda? Mazda. On my right team, what's your team called?
When we rehearsed it, we had teams left and right, so that's the
We want people to stand up.
You need them at the front.
Even at the front.
The two volunteers that you're going to play at the front. Who did you choose?
Good morning. What's your name? Welcome. Good morning, sir. What's your name?
My name's Robert. First.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you both to pick up one off the card.
Shall I bring it up, Maria?
And please show it to everybody.
Can people see that? Yeah. It's just describe it. It's a picture of a woman at a window. Outside the house there's been loads of rubbish put there. There's been graffiti on the wall and people next door playing really loud music. Yeah. What do you think that's about?
Mary says that's about harassment, yeah? So she's going to choose what she's going to do about it.
Maria, what are you going to do about it?
This is what Mary is going to do about it.
Yeah, so Mary, the count that Mary's got is called those. Mary, what do you call those? Okay, this is where the passport is.
Well, what do you want to do?
So which team is it?
Got anything else you would do?
Give it to the right vocalists. Environmental. Because playing music.
The landlord.
The housing association.
Housing association, that's brilliant.
No.
Right, I'm going for the next question now for you. You all ready?
Can we, Jack, can we have one more if that's okay? Just one more?
Adult safeguarding in Bradford Council.
Okay, do you want to keep
Okay.
Robert? You're doing one of these now.
Now I'm going to ask for Robert to pick up one card. Robert, please can you show everybody what's happening? What's happening from this card here?
Silence, please. Give some attention, please. Give some attention, please. This picture next is about guidance.
Alright, let's pick it out then, Robert. So is this out?
Robert's card says run and hide. Is that what you do, Robert? No. Okay. All right. Robert says he wouldn't do that. Okay. Okay.
What would you do about it?
Police!
Debbie's saying it's an assault to call the police.
I'd say it's alarm. Pull your alarm at night time.
Shout for help. Really good one here. Shout for help.
I think I need some help.
On the PSO. PSO.
PCSO, please. Okay? Brilliant. I've got another one. Last one, guys. It's one with Jack. David, got one. Did you get that? Yeah?
I did it.
Brilliant. Okay.
Another for Maria now.
Maria, you got cards coming up?
Okay, can everyone please be quiet for us, please? Go for it, please. Caller, right? Maria's telling us this looks like social media abuse. So what do you think, David?
Thank you for that.
storm down the toilet for getting abusive calls. Myra, is that what you would do?
What would you do about it?
Okay, everybody, we've got someone who wants to speak over here. Can you all be quiet for me? This lady shares the same name as me, so this is really important. It's all quiet, guys. Nina, what do you think?
We brought get the services, we brought that calls.
Block the services, Nina's saying. So when you get nuisance calls and the calls coming through that you don't want, you can block them. Thank you, Nina.
Report to carer or report to police.
Fantastic. Very good. Move to the next one, sure. Jack, next one.
Okay, you're the next one then. So, was that Robert?
Robert. What do you think of this picture says?
Quiet, please. Attention, please.
Attention, please. What would you do if you saw this? This picture's called stealing. If someone's stealing from you.
Is this what you would do? Hit them with a stick.
I report it to the crime watch police.
What would you do?
Okay, folks, Jack's asking what would you do? I've got one here, Damien.
Tell a friend or family or manager or phone the police. Care manager.
I think Damien said it all, didn't he? Yay! Debbie? Debbie's saying reporting. So if someone's stealing anything from you, or if you see someone stealing, you report it.
Lock it in the safe.
Yeah, it's actually a really important point. Keep your possessions safe so people can't steal them. Very good point. Bring the police. Well done. Okay, this is the last one, folks.
That was it. That's
Don't put yourself in danger.
Finishing with a very good note. Don't put yourself in danger. Okay? Brilliant.
okay.
Next card. I'm out of time. Please come up your cards, how many you got? And I will get back to you. This is the end of my game. How many cards you got? 5.
That was brilliant.
Your winning teams are.
We're doing just the first vision,
You
yeah?
lot at the back
I'm
got
just
5
trying to
cards. You lot at the
facilitators.
front got 9 cards. The winning teams are.
Oh, you're not going on yet, by the way.
Oh, you won't have
You want your thing back.
Back on, yeah. That's it. Brilliant. Okay.
You've got me in something, I will throw you up. I've got my bodyguard here.